the BVI, either Jersey or the British Virgin Islands as an individual, there is a minimum about $10,000, and that's about $50,000. So the million shillings, 1.5 million shillings, and
that's between 1 to 5 million.
And there are costs associated with running that bank account, just like there are costs in running any bank account.
Yeah.
Ferdinand picked up an issue about morality, and I think the question I want to pose is, at what point does avoiding paying taxes legally move from being perfectly reasonable to morally wrong? Okay. Is it completely subjective or objective? Or is it a scheme to instigate the public for outcry? Oh, there is tax avoidance. Why would you, as an individual, choose to pay more taxes than is required? Why? You pay just enough.
Yeah.
Okay. On the issue of tax planning and tax avoidance, other countries have started thinking about it. So as a country, we have to start thinking, legislating against what we call treaty shopping. And treaty shopping is looking at a country which has a better tax rate, and there's putting a structure where you minimize the effective tax rate. Legislate against that. If then you have an issue with tax avoidance, put stiffer penalties. Adopt what we call the CRS, the country reporting standards.
Yeah.
Adopt that as a country. There's some BEPS initiatives that are coming into there as a country. Adopt the mutual agreement programs, the MAPs, that we share information across. We've then got to move our laws to be able to play at that international scale if you want to ring-fence about tax planning. But tax planning is as old as humanity.
Yeah.
Yeah, as I say, we all want to avoid paying an extra dime to the government. I think on the issue of offshore accounts, it's good to put things in context. I like what Dan has put into place. It's an individual, as a state officer, that you're prohibited under our constitution to have a foreign account. If I became a state officer today, and my parents set up and did an offshore structure, and I'm a beneficiary of a structure that was put in place before I became a state officer, we've not legislated or thought through that within our constitution.
Yeah.
So you cannot crucify a state officer because he's a beneficiary of a structure put by his parents and is only a beneficiary.
Yeah.
Counsel, what's wrong with that? Why are you crucifying a state officer? And you're just a beneficiary by these structures.
Yeah.
And when we abolished exchange controls in 1990 as a country, at that point in time, we now set Kenya to play in the global scene.
Yeah. I
hear what Counsel is saying in terms of the loans that we get as the syndicated loans, the loans that we get, our debt ratio. Currently, the tax collections that what you collect as a country in tax, 2/3 goes again to repay debts. But that Parliament, Senate have got checks and balances and veto powers to go to check into that process.
Yeah.
So as we go into election next year as Kenyans, let's then elect people who will implement those checks and balances as we want.
Yeah. Isn't that where the loophole is, Omari? Because it's true what Mwema is saying, that you can't crucify a state officer for things that were done by the family or before they became a state officer. Is that a lacuna in the law, or is it that's the way it's supposed to be?
There's no lacuna in law.
Yeah.
Let me take the question of a child born by Kenyan parents, but given a nationality of Canada or an American nationality.
Yeah.
That child cannot come to contest an election here to be the president of this country. Yet his father and mother are Kenyans, and he himself is a Kenyan. there is mechanisms of called renunciation. You renounce the American citizenship or the Canadian citizenship, then you become a Kenyan citizen, then you contest the presidency. 2, if this infrastructure was put, by Mzee Jomo Kenyatta's family, the beneficiary now being the head of state, he has a duty to say these was things that were done when this was done. I cannot inherit them now. Then the properties must come here. The reason why Kenyans put this, and that is why the public is so mad with everybody trying to justify this, is so simple. That state officer is going to earn salary from Wanjiku, from that tax woman who is generating 5 shillings per month. Then she's taxed by the Nairobi City Council or by the Nyamira County Council 1 shilling per selling of an orange. What does the morals and optics say? You cannot be a state officer earning from the taxes of people when your family and yourself, your money is not being taxed. That is the double speak Kenyans are mad about. Number 2, we saw this concept when COVID came. Every other time, the state officers were going abroad for treatment. When the global airspace was closed, we saw them walk into Kitui General Hospital or to a very funny private hospital in Mutomoni or in Garissa. The equalization of everybody. If today, I've told you, I know Trevor does not know Kiswahili, but he's going to class today to read. Taifa Leo, somebody, a friend of mine, Kolo Mauricia Jacob has told me, watoto wa maraisi wakwama na Raila. Then they have put Raila there, they have put President Uhuru Kenyatta there, they have put Gideon Moi there, then they have put Jimmy Kibaki there. What is the narrative that is there? And that is what the Kenyans are asking. Do we really have a patriotic nature of building this country? Where is our patriotism? Where is our nationalism? Are we going to take our money to allow foreigners benefit out of it? Then we are going again with the begging bowls, asking for our money to borrow to come and put a vaccine at Mbagathi when we have resources, our own resources, to put vaccines at Mbagathi and ensure those students I teach at Catholic University have a job. I'm asking this tax expert. Yeah. Where do you want those students I teach at Catholic University to get a job? Where did the money that is supposed to generate a business in this country is offshore? That is the bitterness Kenyans are feeling, that really, if this is the truth, then this country has been mortgaged. And what I'm asking, the root cause, as I started, Trevor, what was the source of that money? The Kenyan national budget, how much do we run a budget for this country?
3 trillion.
2 trillion, currently?
3 trillion. An individual has more than a Kenyan budget. An individual or a family or Mwema now, you have more than a Kenyan budget outside. That is the question everybody is boiling and saying now. Really, we need to be the first world country. But we cannot be the first world country when more than 5 times our budget is outside, lying idle, without generating taxes and without generating anything. So, Kenyans in 27th of August 2010, when President Kibaki promulgated the new constitution, it was very clear that a state officer cannot have money or an account offshore. Number 2, America and developed countries, as you have put it, have put systems, serious systems to track their money. You cannot, those who have relatives in abroad know very well that those guys cannot send you money continuously. They will be summoned and told, where is this money you are sending every other time to another country? There are limits of the money that we are sending. Remember, the Kenyan greatest cash cow is the diaspora remittances right now. we are getting more money coming in from our sons and daughters and brothers and sisters and wives and husbands working outside in very funny types of jobs, but they remit money here. Yet we have our own money lying idle, and really, once, I think, Trevor, this is a question of morality. I'm a lawyer, but if it boils to the question of nationality and patriotism, that Kenyans need to develop our own Kenyans. Are you shocked that we can't even make a matchbox? We cannot even manufacture a simple thing like this tie. We have got to import everything. Yet those things are ours.
Let me bring in Reginald first before I come to you, Mwema. And Reginald, earlier on, Mwema was speaking about the mutual agreement programs, that is the MAPs. We know that there are some of these havens whereby the law of our country doesn't really apply there. So even if there's a ruling here in Kenya that you are found guilty for having spent some money or having stolen some money, it doesn't stop your offshore accounts. You will go to jail here. It will be done. You'll pay your fines. When you come out, you still access your money on the other side. Is that the part that we need to tighten so that it's not even more lucrative to have offshore accounts and offshore businesses?
Yes, in terms of legislation, there has to be, and it's now on a bilateral level, so that's where your Ministry of Foreign Affairs comes in to try and get these bilateral agreements, especially on transparency, to come on board, to harmonize tax laws, so that also reduces this benefit of opening accounts in other places where certain taxes are standard across the board. But you need to note these islands, these British Isles, these Mauritius and Cayman Islands, make a lot of money from this offshore business. So getting a bilateral agreement with them will be a very hard task. Because for some of them, it accounts close to 20% to 25% of their economies. So then they're actually doing business. They found a niche, and they've operated, they've set up this structure to generate income for their countries. So it's a long shot to try and get some of these agreements with tax haven or official offshore financial centers for them to agree to open the transparency, because they are, apart from just the low tax, the secrecy, the data protection are things that they use to attract people to open accounts in their countries. So it will be literally a hard shot for them to be able to do that. Just to remind our learned friend, these people do not put themselves in power. We vote them in power, and we get them there. So they are a reflection of our own character and choices, so to speak. And I think we really need some serious civic education. Because most of the times we try to look for the rich people to vote for them and say, this one is money, let's vote for them to either be an MP or be a president. Another thing, I'll give an example using the registered trust. Yeah. So, for example, since this money was set up by the president's father, he can come and set up a registered trust here, transfer all that money here, into the registered trust, and as long as they are pulling out money from that trust to pay for education and a number of things that are listed there, then that money is still tax-free. So it's seated there and it's not really helping you. The investment opportunities that are there in the country, if I had a trillion, I will go pack it in an infrastructure bond and earn 12–14% tax-free and predominantly risk-free. So to speak, and that money maybe goes to pay salaries or goes to pay foreign debt again. So I've brought it in to just give it the government to give it back to China or whoever is building our roads and our railway. So we have deeper problems, we have deeper structural problems that short-term patches or band-aids are not going to fix. And we really need to go back down on the ground and say, who are we as Kenyans? And what do we want to become? If this is what we want to become, what type of people do we need in leadership for us to reach where we are. If we have mentalities, I heard the learned friend saying that Kenya's economy is coming up. Reality is Kenya's economy is not coming up anywhere. We are just a darling of the West because of their business interests here. That's why Kenya was removed from the red list in the UK, not because we are better vaccinated. There are other African countries which are still on the red list which have vaccinated faster, but we are a darling of the West because of their own business interests here, not that their political interest because of terror, not because our economy is doing that stupendously well. Your top 10 banks in Kenya are not even half the asset size of Standard Bank in South Africa. So until we reach a point where we realize and say, guys, this is where we truly are. PR aside, ego aside, we are a small economy that has not been generating jobs, plagued by corruption, nepotism, and all these things. Who are we as Kenyans, and where do we want to go? And where do we want to go? Which leadership will be best to take us to where we want to go? Then we start answering the proper questions. Then we start getting the right people in power, people who are coming to serve, not to be served by stealing a lot of money, putting it in offshores. Yeah. We elect criminals in Kenya, proven criminals. And sorry to say, the day when the president and the deputy, yes, they have been exonerated, had cases to answer in ICC, they should have been told, hold on, get cleared, and come and run for president. We lowered the bar at that point in time, which makes it now very difficult to hold anyone accountable for any level of morality or patriotism, as the learned friend is saying. I think it starts from going back to the basics, yeah, and getting the right direction as a country. Because if you were to ask right now, Trevor, yeah, even our learned friend and our tax expert there, where do we want to be as Kenya? You'll possibly get two different answers. Because as a country, we've actually not reached a point where we've answered that question and we know where we are going as a country. And that's why anyone who can speak ends up in leadership, and we end up in the mess that we are in. Yeah.
And remember, you know, essentially Reginald is telling all of us to shut up and sleep on our bed, because as you lay your bed, so must you lie. So must you lie. But what is the view on what Danson Omari was mentioning earlier on?
First, yeah. Tax is the price you pay for being in a civilized society. Okay. We're civilized as a country, so you must pay tax by being in this country. Okay. We must then, as a country, have policies or proper incentives to be able to attract the foreign direct investment. No country grows on its own. So if we close ourselves amongst East Africa and say we are taller than our neighbors, we're just measuring ourselves around midgets. Yeah. So I'm a taller midget, then you're still a midget. Yeah. If you look at agriculture, which is the backbone of this economy, we've had flour companies relocate to Ethiopia as we sit here. Why? The environment from a tax perspective, and let's not kid ourselves, we are not a socialist society, we are a capitalistic society. They've moved into Ethiopia because there are better attractions and incentives in that country. Why would you allow the farmer in Nyamira, the lady in Keumbo Market, sell those sweet bananas in Keumbo Market, other than doing value addition and the right infrastructure into Nairobi, and she gets a higher return on investment? There goes your answer on your students. Where will they get jobs? Is that value addition? Picking Nyamira County. Konza, here, Machakos. That techno-city, brilliant thoughts coming into place. Have we created an enabling environment to level it up, to be able to invite multinationals to invest and make it worthwhile for them? Remember, money is a fast-moving consumer good.
Yeah.
The dollar that we're chasing for investment here in Kenya is the same dollar in Timbuktu that they're chasing. Okay? So let's be clear, our council, that we're not operating in an island. Okay? The challenge then is we as Kenyans making sure we elect people who've got the country's best interests at heart.
Yeah.
Who will be able to move us from a developing economy to a developed world.
Yeah.
And to be fair, if you look at the last 57 years post-independence, let's give ourselves credit as a country. We've done well. We're not badly off. If you compare the rest of the countries in Africa,
Yeah.
we've made some good strides. If we look at our tax laws, they've been very progressive. In the last 10 years, they've been very progressive and minimized tax rates. What we're seeing now on the issue of the Pandora's Papers, and the question really is on these foreign accounts. But me as an individual, if I have that, if got $10 million, why would I put it back in Kenya if you're politically unstable and have a possibility of that money being wiped out, losing value because of the instability or your policies as a country? I'll then look to invest in a place whereby, yes, I'll get a lower return of about 7% to the dollar, vis-a-vis converting that money into Kenya shillings,
Yeah.
putting it in treasury bills, getting that double-digit return on a treasury bill. Then it is, those gains are wiped out by exchange risk fluctuation. Prudent, as a prudent person, I'd then look at investing in a country where the money is stable.
Yeah. But Omari, the problem is if you are the person expected to ensure there's political stability and then you're the first one to run and take your money offshore, surely there has to be a problem there. I mean, it's a zero-sum game, right?
Actually, that is what Mwema is losing. We are here being controlled by Trevor. This discussion is being moderated by Trevor. Trevor moves away and carries the cameras and takes them, hiding them elsewhere. Then he comes here pretending that he's controlling the discussion. What we are saying, who is supposed to provide political stability? Who is the person, who are the people in the monopoly, having the monopoly of violence in the whole country? You know, the police, the army, the GSU, that is under law what you call the monopoly of violence. They are in the hands of the same people who have taken the money away. The question, and that is what I asked my good friend Nani Ferdinand has raised, the question is that, are we the people, Kenyans, who have the problem? I think we are the problem. I think as citizens we are the problem. This is a country that is a multi-party democracy, that every 5 years we elect people. The same faces from 1963 to date are the same faces that we are ever electing. They are the ones in control of central bank. They are the ones in control of treasury. They are the ones in control of all avenues, all the conveyor belts to collect money from this country and take them outside. How do we expect any change? We've done it severally. On 9th of September next year, we'll do it the same way. And I've shown that clip. A man from my village, he doesn't know English, he's called Jacobo Morisha, sent me, because he only reads Kiswahili. Watoto wa maraisi wako pamoja. That is a serious question. Are we likely to change this narrative, or we have been reduced into a talk show? My view is a vigorous implementation of the Constitution needs to come in place. a vigorous tax question needs to be a discussion here. A few 3 weeks ago, petrol prices shot the top of what has never happened. Yet we have money lying in offshore that could have insulated that Wanjiko, that Kemuma lady from this issue. So the question that we are raising as a country, as a citizen, you've seen these politicians every other time tell you, in 1963, we were at par with Singapore. We were at par with which country? Now is when we want to come, within 2 years, get ourselves back to where Singapore is.
Yeah.
Every Vision 2030 that we have tried to craft is lifespan is 2 weeks, it is thrown out. The question I push to myself and every Kenyan is this: are we responsible for the type of mess that we are in? Universities, where I teach at Catholic University, and you know it very well. Every day we are churning out serious tax experts, plus every other university. Where did the rains start hitting us? That is a serious national discussion that we need to have a conference, a convention to discuss.
Yeah.
Because we will never grow, let me tell you, we will never grow when we have more than 10 times the national budget in people's hands hidden elsewhere. It is just cosmetic. We need a serious discussion.
Yeah.
We need either to say, now, no more taxes. Bring all that money here.
Okay.
I've seen my good classmate Fred Matiang'i every other time saying, bandits, we give you 1 month amnesty. Surrender the guns. What is hard in us having a national discussion and saying, for this we give an amnesty with the timelines and say, return all this money back here.
Yeah.
Without any tax, without asking.
But that
where.
was done, and the trillion shillings came in, but it didn't have much of an
It was
impact.
not seen to be genuine. It was seen as politically trying to know, Trevor, how much money do you have? So that once you bring it the money, then they tell us where you got this money from. There was no honesty in that amnesty.
And even Omari, Lord Abraham Mutai here is saying that Danstan Omari is claiming that an individual has more money than our budget lying idle offshore. Obviously, he's talking about client 13173. We know the Pandora Papers talked of $30 million. That's 3 billion shillings. Can you tell us how and where he got his figures from?
All these things are speculative. Lord Abraham is a serious blogger. A serious blogger he can check those facts. What we are saying, whether it is a coin, that coin belongs to Kenya.
Okay.
That coin needs to be here. Lord, you need to have it here so that the people who follow you in your blogging space can also pay Safaricom to be able to follow you. We do not care how much it is. All that we are saying, why should our money be outside?
Okay.
I think I tend to disagree completely with counsel on this, because the Pandora Papers touch on a whole spectrum around the world, and in Kenya, quite a number. It's sad that we only highlighted one individual, one person. I choose as a Kenyan where to invest my money. I'll choose, so the money doesn't belong to Kenyans. We are a capitalist society. So I'll choose whether to keep my dollar here in Kenya or keep my dollar under the mattress or keep the dollar. So it is my choice as an individual. That's what democracy is all about. Okay? When you pick up the issue of fuel, the subsidies were removed, that lies right at the center of parliament. Yes, we as Kenyans have a problem. The definition of madness is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. So as a result of our queer behavior and when we go to the ballot, why is it our political parties morph every year? Parties should be formed based on ideologies, and they follow that through. The Democrats in the US, their ethos that they follow through. In our case, we form political parties as a vehicle for the next election. The bus that we had in 2017, 13, was a Jubilee bus. And now the Jubilee bus now looks like, okay, it's now we had the TNA bus into Jubilee bus, and that morphed in. So political parties morph. Now I understand that we've got new, you have all those kind of things.
Same
happening.
people, just different names.
There you go.
Around. Yeah.
But if we had parties based on structures, principles, ethos, and this is what they believe in, that would take us into a different perspective. And the challenge is us as Kenyans then is now to start having accountability to our leaders. Getting to know from the MCA all the way to the governor and into the president is ensuring we get the right people on the bus.
Okay.
That's the only way we'll change as a country.
All right.
But we cannot then also go back to 19 Ngotekesa, that is 1964, whereby we seem to be criminalizing, or you have an offshore bank account, you've stolen. Not necessarily. The question, yes, is the source of funds. And the key thing is, if that source of funds is from tax sources, it has been taxed. You can invest that money anywhere in the world.
All right.
There's no question about that. And remove that subjectivity.
Okay.
And then the issue of optics. Again, it's about perception. Yes, that perception is your reality, but for me, I look at it and say, tax can and will never be a moral issue. It is a legal issue.
All right. I want to come to you to give us closing remarks, all of you, but let's read up some feedback. There's a lot of it coming through. Let's see. Let's bring up one on the screen. Paul David says, that is a very good discussion there. What do I say, though? Since our leaders are our role models as youth, we are really learning. What a book. We shall invest offshore as well, if that is what patriotism was meant to be. All right. Cyrus says, it's good to learn that our president has invested in other countries while he's always talking about growing our economy by attracting investors while he is an investor in another country. Okay. Njenga Wakungu says, the pressure exerted on Uhuru for having offshore account is just baseless. This is simply meant to demonize Kenyatta family. Why hasn't it been a moral issue all other years? This could be a political weapon to display Uhuru as a bad leader as he exits in 2022. Okay. Atika Benjamin says, out of curiosity, are Uhuru Kenyatta's family members state officers? If I list my child as a beneficiary of an account and he becomes a state officer despite him or her not being the account holder, are they to declare the account as theirs despite only having beneficiary status? Okay. Jacob Abere says, Kenya is a funny country. We have good laws in trailing a seller of roll of bang and turtle skin illegally, but hard to track offshore account holders or stashed funds. Backstops at the people or voter continue to be used as ATM in funding offshore accounts. Okay? Korir Chichi says, it doesn't matter how legal or justified the president or his family is, for an ailing economy like ours, it will ultimately be immoral for its ruler or his family to stash such amounts to avoid taxes or for whatever reason. Abdirahman Ali says, offshore accounts are not illegal as long as the business is genuine and you pay tax. The problem comes in when you steal public funds and you think you're smart enough to enjoy it later. Illegal money must be investigated. Many of us didn't know what an offshore account is. Okay. Okelo Mwalimu says, before we dwell too much on the offshore account, where there is no evidence of breach of law at the moment, we should look for ways of repossessing grabbed land, recovering assets acquired through thievery, and locking corrupt individuals and politicians behind bars. Okay. Reginald, I'll start with you. Closing remarks. Where do we go from now? I know you said that as we spread our bed, so must we lie on it, but what is the way forward?
Trevor, I think we have an opportunity in 2022 to listen to leaders who we have a shared vision for the country that we share with us. And let's look at the basics. Access to water. Only close to 60-70% of the population does not have access to piped water. 60-70% of the population still uses pit latrines. And those are the reality of the things that are on the ground. So people who are coming to talk of big things do not work. My final words are, as we get into 2022, we have an opportunity to start the journey of going to where we want as a country. But first, we need to decide where is that place that we want to go. Singapore decided, put all their efforts, and they went there. Hong Kong decided, put all their efforts, and they went there. China, at some point, also decided, put all their efforts, and they went there. Until we know where we want to go, we will not know what type of leaders that we need to put in there. And we will not have any moral standards and ethos to measure whether someone is actually the right person that we need to reach the vision that we need to reach. Right now, it's eat all you can, get into power, eat all you can, and leave the problem to the next person who's going to come after 5 years or so.
Okay, Omari, closing remarks.
My closing remarks are that I'm one of the most excited Kenyans, but such discussions could not have happened some 10 years ago. Such disclosures globally were a preserve of some few countries abroad. We have it in our bedroom. We have it courtesy of Citizen TV. Let these discussions proceed. I'm happy when these discussions came in, my good president said he is going to put his submissions. So we expect the president to swear an affidavit explaining to Kenyans, this property was acquired this way, this is the profit it has generated all these years, this is from an evaluation report, it has appreciated this way. We are now putting everybody to checks and balances. By failure of parliament and oversight roles of other institutions, the media and the WikiLeaks are now bringing everybody to account, and the president has accepted to be accountable. The Kenyatta family has accepted. I strongly recommend such type of discussions that let us put everything to perspective. The president has said, and from his statement, that this is going to go a notch higher to bring out issues that have always been moving down under the dark forces. There has been a perception, which might not be true, but the president's family are involved in this. Probably once he swears an affidavit and they bring their accounts to book, everybody now will not say, will say that the president's family is clean, but we are moving to the actualization of Article 10 of the Constitution. And remember, Kenyans, the Constitution demands that you must defend the Constitution. Don't expect government and public officers in Article 2 to defend the Constitution. We are mandated, everybody, to defend the Constitution. And I'm very excited as a Kenyan that now transparency is flowing. The youth, please don't say that you are also going to take money to offshore accounts. That will be a bit overreacting. This is our country. We have nowhere to go. Let us invest in this country. Let us be proud with this country. We remember whether we have dual citizenship. This remains our country. It is us to develop this country.
Okay.
That is all, Trevor.
All right, Mwema?
For me, I think I'm glad that we're becoming transparent as a country. And we're able to have candid conversations. And when Pandora Papers came into place, we've talked about that openly, and the leadership has reacted. We've progressed, and I think now more than ever is the issue of leaders are accountable to their citizens. And as citizens, we need to demand more accountability from our leaders. Kenyans, and right now, the youth form the majority of the population. Okay. As we get into elections next year in August 2022, my challenge is interrogate robustly the leader that you put into place. Interrogate that MCA. Interrogate that MP. Interrogate that senator. Interrogate that governor. When it comes to presidential election, then have those robust conversations and interrogate that individual.
Yeah.
We are as good as the people we put in leadership. I think what the last couple of elections has demonstrated to us, we've got the power as Wananchi, and then we just need to demand higher standards of our leaders, and only then shall we see the promised land and move from being a developing country to a developed state.
Okay.
Lastly, the issue of foreign accounts, offshore accounts, it's a discussion now overtaken by events. The world has moved into digital currency. It's moved into cryptocurrency. And as we go into, as the Gen Zs get to do things into the future, we'll continue seeing more opaqueness. Hence, data privacy now is the biggest thing that we have globally.
All right. Thank you for making time this morning. Philip Mwema, Managing Partner, Anderson Tax, and a tax consultant as well. Reginald Kazutu, Amana Capital CEO, and Danson Omari, Advocate of the High Court. Asanteni sana for making heads and tails of this conversation. And yes, it is true. You're as good as the leaders you elect. All right. Bye for now. My name is Trevor Mbija. Let's wait for Willis Raburu is coming in with nutrition tips and working out as well. All right. See ya.